Welcome to today's positive thought of the day for August the 8th. If you've watched the Angel of the Day video, you will know that the angel is Elemiah, which is spelled E-L-E-M-I-A-H. And if you watch that video, you will understand that the one aspect we want to look at today will be loss, and we're looking at this more on a personal level and how this angel can help with the loss, and looking at more the loss of a loved one. And even towards the end of the video we'll look at maybe loss on a more I suppose work level, if you have a loss maybe to do with work or friendship. But the main part of the video would be looking at the loss of a loved one. It's very difficult to get through life without losing a loved one. Maybe when we were young, we had grandparents, and then while we were still young, those grandparents left. You know, that they died maybe due to sort of old age or illnesses. And even when we were young, we probably expected grandparents to always be there, grandma and grandpa, but eventually their time comes to an end. And as we get older, then there may come a time that we face the very difficult loss of maybe one or both parents. That can be extremely stressful and devastating for people, and as somebody who's clearly gone through that in life, I know the pain and how long the pain takes, and how devastating that is. Also, you know, some people have lost siblings, maybe brothers or sisters in maybe accidents or illnesses, and even in some circumstances as an individual, maybe as a parent, you've actually lost a child through maybe accident or illness. So it is very, very difficult to get through life without losing somebody very close, even a close friend. A cousin, close cousin can be very important, and this angel is there to very much comfort us and guide us at this difficult time. I think that there is certainly a physical aspect in that when we have this loss, there is very much a shutting down of us as a person, as we are so devastated, we don't know how to react. Even when we have faced a loss of a loved one before, the next loss, it doesn't get any easier. It feels just as hard and as raw as before. We often feel it's almost like somebody else's fault, or couldn't you have longer with your parent or grandparent? Couldn't they have survived for longer? If it is maybe a long illness, you wish that they could survive, but in that time they would probably suffer, and obviously that this time we think about ourselves and our own opinions and, you know, what's best for us. But if maybe a grandparent was in a long illness and was suffering on a daily basis, then unfortunately it was their time to go, and we need to accept that they've had to go and we are left behind. So what we need to do is look at the positive aspect. And with maybe loss of, you know, grandparent or parent, you're probably thinking, well, there's no positive outlook there at all. But if we, as many of the major religions believe, that we maybe cross over, people talk about heaven, people talking about a better place or going back to God. These are your sort of like personal beliefs, and this video and this channel isn't there to promote any opinions or beliefs. What it's trying to do is just help you in difficult times. So if you believe that the person, you know, grandparent or parent has moved on to almost like a better place, then we should be very grateful that the universe gave us such a warm, caring, generous and loving parent or grandparent. And that if we think about it, without them in our life, then our lives would be so much more worthless or not full with the love and the kindness that, you know, the parent, grandparent showed to us throughout our life. Parents are there bringing us up as children, caring for us, making major sacrifices for us, worrying about us as we go through school and maybe college, worrying about us, you know, when trying to get a job, better jobs, careers, you know, maybe getting married. So our parents are always watching over us, trying to guide us. Grandparents may be doing the same, and we miss that love. You know, if you have a problem, you'd often go to your mum or your father, or even grandparents, you know, could give great advice. And without them around in your life, that loss, that hole in your life becomes maybe more apparent. So what we need to try to do, and it is very difficult, and speaking from experience, I know how difficult it is. We should, rather than think about the loss, is think about all the good times we had with them. Think about maybe all the humour they shared with us. Think about the love that was always there for us, their kindness, their caring nature. Even if the parent wasn't the greatest parent, they still cared for us in our own way. They still thought about us and worried about us on a very regular basis, which, you know, we probably didn't know about as we grew up and had maybe rebellious teenage years, which, you know, maybe we all had. And the parent, grandparent was always worried about us, what time we would get home, you know, trying to encourage us to do better with our lives, you know, maybe work harder, study more. So we want to think about that the love they shared with us, their caring nature, the kindness they showed, and very much coming from an Irish background, at Irish funerals or before the funeral, they will often have a wake. And this is where often the deceased person is in their own home, in the coffin, and then all the friends and family come to the home to pay their respects to the family, but also in effect to celebrate that person's life. And they talk about the good times, the funny times, and even when, for example, I lost my mother, and after the funeral, we had a meal. Family came from Ireland. I live in England, so people travelled from Ireland to be with me and my family. And after the funeral, I was sitting with actually my godparents. There was my godmother on one side, my godfather on the other, and obviously they were there to you know, to be close to me, as they were very close. You know, I was very close to both of them. And even though I felt it needed to be very sombre and, you know, maybe sorrowful, they talked about my mum and the good times, because they had known her for longer than I had. They had known her for maybe 30 plus years. They knew all about her, they knew her growing up. And so the whole time during this meal, we're talking about the good times, the funny times, how caring she was, how loving she was. And in effect, they were celebrating her life and maybe making it clear how important she was in my life. And what I took out of that day was how special she was in my life, and then how special the gifts were that she gave to me, the loving nature, caring, helpful. And as a teacher, she was always there to help and guide children, try to help them learn, understand, reading, writing, maths. So in effect, although I'd lost my mother, it was a case of I was learning to celebrate her life. And that is what we all should try to do, is rather than look at the negative, the loss, we look at the skills, the nature, the personality, and those traits and that they gave us, and that sort of guidance they helped, to show us how to love, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to be thoughtful, how to be a good listener, how to very much help others. And that those gifts are what I took out of that day, how I could use those gifts, with my children, to love them, to guide them, and also to worry about them at difficult times. And so we must understand that our lives would not be as brilliant without that loving parent. And we have to accept that the parent has gone, or grandparent has gone. And what we need to do is celebrate the life and draw on their, maybe patience, kindness, compassion, loving nature, and use those in our everyday working with people, working with our family, and being close to our family, our family dealings, our work dealings, and maybe taking that loving nature forward and being there to help others. So if you do see others who are going through a loss, and you've been through that loss as well, then you will be able to help. You will have the right words to understand. And I'll just give you another example. At one of my cousins, that their father died, so one of my uncles, and we were at the graveside, and the immediate family was standing around the coffins. That was his wife and children, my cousins. And then probably about like 15 feet away, the rest of us as cousins were all standing about. And all of us had lost a parent, so this was like a large extended Irish family. And we were all standing together, and we were all like laughing and joking and chatting. And at a quiet moment, I thought my cousins who had just lost the father, if they looked over, they would probably think we were actually being disrespectful. At this difficult time, we were all laughing and joking. But then I realised all of us cousins who were standing together, we'd all been through that same difficult day. We'd all had that loss. Our parents had gone, and the parents were all connected as brothers and sisters. And so this was how we all dealt with it. And I suppose in a way it was a positive sign that despite the loss, we'd all got on with our lives. We all had happy nature. We all had, a generous nature, helpful nature, and very much, a loving, large, extended family. And despite the loss, we all got through it, and we were all there, with helpful words for the future. So as loss is quite a difficult subject, maybe the video is a bit longer, and hopefully if you are going through a loss or have recently had a loss, then I know exactly how difficult it is. And even if you want to leave a comment or you need any further advice, then more than happy to help. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody who has gone through a loss. I'm certainly not a grief counsellor, so I'm not advocating I'm a professional. I'm just somebody who has experienced that loss. So just to finalise a little bit, even if you've had a loss at work, or you know, you've been made redundant, and that can be quite devastating, and it's something that has happened to me. And I have worked for a company where I've had to go out and call a company's employees together and explain to them that they've been made redundant. So I know the loss from both sides. So initially you go into that sort of like shock mode, that devastation, what do I do? How do I pay the bills? And it can be extremely stressful, as I know from experience. So you need to get those clear thoughts. You need to maybe go home, discuss it with a partner, and decide what is the best way forward. Because sometimes that loss is opening a door to a new opportunity. And as I'm doing these videos in 2020, when we have this coronavirus pandemic, which is sweeping the world, I was made redundant in February, and that has given me the time to decide that I wanted, rather than just write books about angels and positive thought, I wanted to make the experience more personal. And in that time, I have taken the time to learn about YouTube, and I've now started these videos. So although I was made redundant and I've had that loss, I've now looked at it as a new opportunity, and that opportunity is to do these videos, YouTube videos, which hopefully will help others and be there as a source of you know, kindness, compassion to others, and help them to understand different aspects of their own life, and you know, how they can work closer with angels, and how to, you know, stay positive in a very difficult time in the world. So always try to find a positive, maybe you know, great traits that your parents or loved ones had. Maybe look at, you know, bringing them into your own life and helping others, being compassionate and loving. And if you are experiencing a loss, maybe it might give you the time to move into a role or a job you do like, or it may give you the time to look at a completely new opportunity. So, you know, if one door opens, normally the universe will open 3 or 4 to give us opportunities and choice. We just have to be open and focused to see these new opportunities. So even though this is a very difficult subject, you know, the loss of a loved one or loss of, you know, work employment, I hope you found the video useful. If you did, then please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't and it wasn't quite what you wanted, then even a thumbs down. But if you did find the video useful and helpful and would like to be notified when other videos go live, as there will be on a daily basis, then please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you'll be notified when the next video goes live.